Hello, everyone. This is Monsef Afkar, and thank you so much for joining us in this new call of your divine uniqueness. So I'm really glad to connect with you again live. So thank you for your presence, and also very excited that Cathleena Hailley is back on the show. In the past few years, she's been joining us every season, and yeah, so every time she takes us very deep into how to say understanding like the process of ascension from different like in relation to different areas of our embodiments here as humans, and also our connection to our divinity. And today she will be sharing about the human influence, how this is influencing our ascension, and also bringing both the divine masculine and feminine that can really help us to becoming the conscious creator that we are, and really releasing those frequencies, the false frequencies, and also embodying our soul essence. And also we'll have a Q&A like always. If you are on Zoom, you can raise your hand by pressing reactions, then raise hand. And also you can type your questions on the chat boxes on both Zoom and YouTube. And if you are on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. And yeah, before we start, I would love to share with you a little bit about Cathleena. So Cathleena Hailley is an embodiment of the divine feminine who works with the Council of Nine collective, and in particular with Jesus, Metatron, and other ascended masters. Her coding accesses the warm water of an individual's birth so that they are brought back to their original soul expression, creating rebirth to allow full expression of the soul's imprint. As the lineage of the life architect, her crystalline DNA signature not only carries the frequency of perfect speech to align to the original human template, Earth template, and this universe's template, but continually recalibrate this alignment. And yeah, so that's Cathleena. Welcome back to the show. Very happy to have you with us today.
Thank you, Monsef. It's always great to be with you. I love your energy and what you bring as well. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yeah, so very excited about today's subject. It's embodying the Hieros, Gamos, and clearing the human influence. And maybe in the beginning, for those of our audience who are new to you, maybe they joined the show recently, would you like to share maybe a little bit about your work and message in general?
Yeah, sure. I was just stepping into the energy and seeing how this wants to move forward. Yeah, so I carry the 0 point frequency, and I'm really the embodiment of pure source light. And I know that we're all pure source light, but what my particular geometry carries is a certain sequencing that doesn't alter kind of in the essence of what my geometry exists as. And so because of that, as I carry the 0 point, what I'm able to recognize is where the imbalances are in others. And so just through speaking, through showing up, and then through actual movement of energy, there is a availability to be able to have shifting and awareness change within your own existence. So, you know, it's kind of how I work. So I'm not arbitrarily talking to you even right now. I'm in your energetic field. I can feel a lot of different things that are going on. I always say, you know, I came in the world on. So, you know, as a small child, I was able to experience a lot of different energies. I could, you know, hear thoughts, and I could feel different emotions, and, you know, extremely empathic and able to, you know, kind of experience a lot of different things that are going on in the energetic field. And I had to learn who I was. You know, I had a lot of experiences where I would just come near a person, I'd say hello, and they would begin to tell me their entire life story. And I would I would just say something to them and I'd start to see profound changes. And I was, young. And so I didn't really understand what was happening. And as I matured in life, I was always very curious about what was going on. And I've always been very sort of introverted in terms of my own self and introspective. And through that, journeying inward into my experience about what was happening around others began to tell me the story of who I was, but also how energy and frequencies and so on work and what's really happening and just all the intricate levels. So I'd say at this point, what I'm here to do and what I'm aware of is how energy and frequency, what it is, how it really works, who we are, and just have this ability to be able to help others awaken the process, of who we are, why we're here, what we're doing, that kind of stuff. So I feel like that's kind of what wants to come through. It feels very general at the moment, but I think we're gonna dive into a lot deeper, that's going on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And yeah, I also feel that because it's very related, how to say, to how we experience this journey here on Earth. And because there are two aspects of us, like the multidimensional, the divine aspects, and also the human aspects. And each one is influencing the other. And what we're trying to do is it's more about co-creation and bringing them together. So what is your perspective about how our human aspects are influencing this journey?
Yeah. Well, I think what's coming forward, what I'm recognizing in terms of the human aspect is really what is the conditioning or the dialoguing that humanity is telling each other, or that we have been told as to who we are, why we're here, what our purpose is, all these types of things. And that's really what I recognize as the human influence at this stage of the game is what is the story as to who are we, and not who we are by knowing who we are and our own life experiences, but more about, what we've been told, because when we come into the world, we are pure source consciousness, and we're coming in this awareness of energy and frequency and so on. And shortly into being here, we begin to be told who we are and what things are and so on and so on. And so those influences are what I'm referring to as the human, influences that's going on. It's like we're unwinding the story of who we've become based on dialogues and things that we've been told of who we are and how we can be, all the limitations of the world. So we're awakening to our awareness that we're infinite and that there really are no limits. It's all based on our own belief. We're awakening to the fact that we are not the character that we're playing in this role called life, but we are really the director and writer of the character, that has become, in my case, Cathleena or whoever. But if I have become Cathleena, then who is it that I become? And that's the unwinding of that human influence. It's like, who have I really become? Who am I carrying around with me, inside of me, that's dialoguing, dictating, and I'm constantly looking at or monitoring myself by. And why would I be doing that anyway? I mean, even if I've got these characters, or even if there's another person standing next to me, why am I allowing myself to be influenced and dictated and controlled by that, and this is what we're waking up to, is like, what are we really doing? This is in the privacy of my own self, my own body, and I'm not recognizing my own sense of sovereignty, my own sense of self, that I have choices about how anything is affecting me. It's my experience, because, the entire physical expression experiences through this physical body, and it's all based on me. My interpretation through my vessel called the physical body is my experience of reality and life. And it's like, let's just get real simple and dive inside and just really participate in the physical body first and foremost, and recognize, what am I doing as this physical body, in the world, and how am I shifting and adjusting myself for whatever energies are around? And can I, instead of doing that, simply be the witnessing observer of this body having those reactions, and then, saying, okay, well, what's going on? And, would I like to have that particular experience? What does all this mean? This is what we're waking up to now. So a lot happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that. And as you were talking about like having our own experience and our own perspective, because as we are shifting to that, like we were in how to say, it was like a safety zone, because we got the answers from outside of us, and that was easier. And also it was easier to trust things from the outside. But now, as we are awakening to our own truth and power, and it comes some responsibility with it. And when we try to take our own decisions, make our own choices based on our own perspective, sometimes we can have some doubts. What if we take the wrong decision? What if this is not the right path for us? And so my question is how to transition from this old way of living our experience to having more trust in ourselves.
Yeah, it's interesting, because even in the dialogue, it's like you said in the beginning that, having this outside made it easier to trust. And I question that. I say, is that really true? Because I think that's really the interesting piece in this, is like, so you begin to wake up and say, have I really been able to trust the outside world? And I'd say, no, not really. I'd say what it's all been is a survival mode. We've been in this idea of survival mode, and what we're awakening to is thrive mode, and really letting go. And when you realize that you're the one who's always been in charge when it comes down to right here. I say it's like when you get really present, you got your feet on the floor, you're looking at your eyes, you're recognizing that all of my experience is through this vessel right here, right now. That's it. If we forget what we think is outside of us, and we realize that I'm the one that's right within me as what I'm feeling, and we have this illusion that has this idea that something outside of me makes me feel safe. If you really feel it's never possible. And it's never been true either, but it's the illusion of that something outside of me can somehow make me feel safe. But don't you realize that if that's true, then that has to always stay the same. It always has to be there. But the one thing we can count on is change. And this is why there's never that idea of safety is so elusive, in this illusion that something outside of me will create that. But when we start to have that realization, and it really is a faith, trust, and surrender, it's kind of ironic, because it's when you give up, not give up, when you let go, when you let go of, or give up the control of yourself around others, meaning that limited aspect of self, and you let the flow of your own self, your own life force energy take place, that you begin to realize what real freedom is, because it is pure experience. It's us just having an experience. It's like, oh, it is what it is. I am what I am. Wow. That's, there's nothing greater than that. Just like, whoa, okay. And when we can drop into that and move from that space, the heart, what seems to be the heart, but so I say this is really easy and really hard at the same time, because what seems to be the hard space is that, but like you said, it's like questioning, oh, is it okay? Is it right? Well, the thing is that if we realize that we're all just kids on the playground, and if it feels connected to you and right, it can't be wrong. And if we're coming from our heart space and we're allowing that and following that, then it is your divine experience, and it becomes easier and easier. So decision making coming from your own heart, your own intuition, your own desires, based on a place of true sovereignty and true presence, is very profound and very free. And so how do I get there? Is I have to practice that. I have to be in the pure moment. So some of the examples that might be more challenging is, say you're with another person, and it's a casual connection, you're outside, you're comfortably sitting on a bench, it's a day off, you're not working, blah blah blah. And so you've got your feet on the ground, you're experiencing the outside. But the question is, are you sitting with that person in your head, thinking about them, judging them in some way, separating yourself in some way, especially if it's somebody that's new, or even a family member? Because anytime that we are, present like that, but then we're retreating into our head and we're dialoguing, that's when we're not in the present moment. That's when we're not authentically having a pure moment experience, and this is the practice. It's like, can I let go? Because often what will happen is that when triggers happen, a trigger is never in the present moment. So you can be sitting there outside, everything's wonderful, and the person says something, and you feel, a trigger, and then suddenly you're in your head, and suddenly you're feeling something different. Those moments is when you're no longer in that present moment, and you're no longer in your own pure experience. You're in some past experience or some future or something like that. So this is when the practice, this is when you start to become, if you are desiring, this is when you take that extra moment, and you notice, like, oh wow, I just dropped into my head, I'm feeling something. So what do I do in that particular moment? Is you become the witnessing observer of yourself. Suddenly I'm feeling tight, I'm feeling anxious. So you just take a breath and you let go of that tightness. That's how you drop back into that 0 point. You drop back into that present moment. And you're back into that pure experience. And this is when you can go deeper and say, what just happened to me? And who is it that this happened to? Because these are ages of yourself, whether it's this lifetime or other lifetimes, that are coming forward, that are, in some type of emotional response. And what happens is that we become those emotional responses, and that takes us out of that 0 point continually. So our practice in this waking up is to not embody those aspects of self in that present moment, but not to push them away either. It's to allow yourself to be present. I'm present. I'm in this moment. Everything's great. I'm right here. But I'm also able to observe and have this experience that there's another part of me that's in distress or something like that. And I want to support that part. So I'm going to hold space for her to have her experience, but I'm not going to embody it, that it becomes my now present experience. You see what I mean? And this is the practice that we're, if we continue to do this, what's going to happen is you're going to begin to bring all aspects of self. This is the idea of restoring these soul fragments, bringing in, releasing these imprints, coming into balance with the masculine, feminine. This is what we're doing, is by, just really allowing ourselves to have the expressions that are coming forward, and not judging them, not shoving them out, but noticing, am I truly in the present moment, or am I in a place of, judgment, or past or present, whatever, future, what's really happening? It's just becoming the witnessing observer of yourself, because this goes back to what I said, is the entire experience is through this vehicle, this body. The body's everything. So this is the process, is we're so programmed to have this illusion of things outside yourself. And not to say that we don't have life and life experiences, but everything's energy and frequency. So the entire experience is you. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. And it's like you said, it's a practice, and with time, when we know there is a shift happening, is when we are in the present moment, when we are able to become the witness. Like, it's okay that we are triggered, but we know that we are aware of that, and we try to understand. And this is where, like, we know that's the practice we've been following. Like, we feel that the shift is happening, and also the question here is, because many times when we talk about the present moments, we understand that we shouldn't be triggered, or we shouldn't feel like those dense emotions. So what I would love if you can tell us more about your perspective about the present, being in the present moment, what it is, and how can we be there at the same time where our human aspects comes to the surface.
Yeah. Well, the difference between being in the authentic present moment and what I say is the false present moment is, from your head to your heart space. So the inauthentic present moment is I got my feet on the floor, I'm looking at my eyes, I'm in my space, my own room, but I'm in my head. And so how do I move from my head to my heart? Well, we have to notice, what is my thought and what is my emotion in relationship to that thought? And more importantly, what is that doing to this vehicle, to the body? And so an example might be if I say, oh my God, I don't know where my money's coming from. So I'm in the privacy of my own home and I'm panicking about this. So I've got this thought of, I don't have any idea. I've got the emotion of like panic and nervousness, and I don't know, I'm tensing my body. So what I want to do is just notice the tensing of my body. I take a breath and I let go. At that moment is when I'm dropping into the authentic present moment. I'm dropping into my heart space and I'm in the unknown. But what happens there is that we're not taught to be in the unknown. We're taught to be in the known, like it's not safe. So you're going to go right back into your head. Yeah. So this is where we have to start to notice in the practice. And so the idea of being able to have those emotions and being in the present moment is taking a breath and almost saying to yourself, like, okay, yep, I might not know where it's coming from right now, but, I have a choice about how I am reacting to it in this physical body right now. And this is super important because this is where we're not really taught that, we are creator beings and we're literally creating through our thought and our emotion. And, the emotion is basically the fuel of your creation. So the thought is the blueprint. It's like the paper. And then the emotion that you have is the person and the pencil. So it's like in this case, you've got this thought about money and then you're adding this emotion of panic. Well, the way that we create is that when you take a thought and you add an emotion and you hold it 14 seconds or longer, it moves into the unified field, which is the place of all frequencies. It finds a match to that frequency, goes out into the universe and comes back into reality. So if we are, having this thought of, I don't know where my money's coming from, and I'm in this state of panic with it, I'm creating that thought and that energy with a state of panic. But if instead I realize that I'm tensing, then I let go of that. And then I could still have the thought and go, well, I don't know. But now I can be in like, well, I can either go, oh my God, I don't know. Or I can go, well, I don't know. I just don't know right now. I don't know. And it's a very different energy to be in that place of like, I don't know. Now I'm in the authentic moment. I can remind myself of where I am, that I am safe. Everything's okay in this now moment. I'm right here. And then if I use some of the principles of actual creation and I start to say, well, if I don't know, instead of me adding the energy of all the panic, I could say, well, then anything can happen. I mean, I could win the lottery. I could have an inheritance. Somebody could just give it to me. So if I started to have imagination with that, and then I'm adding this emotion of like, wow, that could be fun. That could be cool. So now I'm shifting the frequency of this. And what's going to happen is, in that energetic, because I didn't embody that whole panicky, energy, and now I'm opening up to something different, then that's sending out a message, and you will have, like a physical movement, because we do have to do something, but you'll have something that'll start to guide you. Like maybe you'll, something as simple as like, wow, you know what? I feel like going and having an ice cream. And you like go, well, I'm just worried about money and now I want to have an ice cream. Well, whatever. If you let yourself go do that, maybe you walk there and you meet someone that then tells you about this or tells you about that. Next thing you know, you're in a place where there's abundance and money and showing up. And it's just like, this is how the path works, so the idea of allowing, is just really bringing it home. It's like, we're not shoving it away. We're just disengaging. And here's what's really going on. We are source consciousness. And as source consciousness, you're vibrating at the fastest rate. And all we're doing in human existence is matching frequencies in order to be comfortable. And, think of frequencies just as emotions. And a simple example is, and by universal law, faster moving frequencies always try to raise slower ones up to match them. That's just how it works. So imagine, you and I come around each other and I'm happy and you're mad. What's going to happen is I'm going to irritate you because I'm vibrating at a faster rate and because my happy is trying to raise you up. So as long as I stay happy, you only have two choices. You either get happy with me or you go away, because it's all about matching. So this is the idea about matching frequencies, is that as source consciousness. So when I drop into the present moment, when I'm literally present in my heart space, I am showing up as who I am, which is pure source. And I am literally one with everything, because I am one with my multidimensional self. But I'm also vibrating as the highest frequency. So no other frequency can sustain itself. Well, if I have this energy of, worry or something that's there, and I'm showing up in that present moment, that worry cannot attach to me. I'm going to basically push it outside myself, it'll be around me. But if I lower my frequency to match it, if I embody it, then I become it. So this is this idea of like, being the witnessing observer. It's allowing for the compassion of saying, okay, yeah, I may not know. And because again, this goes back to what we become from the belief systems. Like the belief system is, oh my God, if you don't know, then, and we're kind of taught to go down the pathway of panic and worry and all that. Well, what if we just went into the place of the unknown? Okay, I don't know. I mean, you don't know what you know till you know what you know. That's how it works. It doesn't,
Yes.
You don't know until you know. So it's giving yourself permission because this is what, the control mechanisms that have been on the planet don't want you to have free thought. Don't want you to be in the places of creativity. Don't want you to be in the unknown and be able to create known in there. They want you to follow the script, to be a part of the cog on the wheel. And this is what we've been doing. So in order to disengage from that, we just simply show up as our pure self, knowing that all these other things have been part of your life or around you, whatever. But it's about making that decision just at the real simplistic level of your present body in that now moment to say, do I want to tense my body in this now moment or not? It's not about the thought, because the thought's going to be there. You're the one that is creating the frequency and energy and emotion to create that within the physical body. You're the one doing that. And we have a choice about that. And this is where we're taught to bypass, like, well, that's not helpful. That's not doing anything. Wrong. It's extremely important. It's everything, because I'm going to go back to, we are source consciousness. We are energy having an experience in physicality through this vehicle called the body. So it's a communication. Think about that. You are communicating with your body, and I've described this before, that think of, source consciousness is basically a library of information, giant library of information. And you are a smaller library of the giant library. It's your soul, if you will. And the way that we engage in a physical body is we download our our library of information. It's basically like the software in a computer. The software tells the computer what to do. So we download ourselves into the brain, and then we communicate with the body. And think of the body as like a giant mall of people. Am I in synergistic communication? What am I doing to this body? I'm communicating. And this is what I'm waking you up to. It's like, we're doing it. We're communicating with this physical body. Well, what if I just went in neutral? Okay, instead of like, because if I don't get all the intricate parts, everything, how about I just take a breath? And as I do that, then I can be the witnessing observer of what I have been taking on, because everything's energy and frequency. So your clothes, your room, everything. So as you drop into that 0 point, that present, you start to feel, wow, what does it feel like being in my clothes? What does it feel like being in my room? What does it feel like, what am I aligning to? Is it even me? Do I even know who I am? And being okay with not knowing who you are, because we don't know exactly who we are. And we're learning that on massive levels. And because of that, not only are you absolutely unique, because you are a unique calibration of source consciousness, but that uniqueness, if you, we're taught to seek uniqueness, but when you seek uniqueness, it separates you. But if you know you're unique and you just allow yourself to show up as unique, you're connected to everything. You're just going to be different. You're a different, unique part. And I've described this before. Think of yourself as like a puzzle piece in this giant quantum field. But you're not a flat puzzle piece. You're the spherical moving puzzle piece. And as you let go, as you let yourself be you, then you synergistically, beautifully align with all things in relationship to you and your life. And that alignment aligns to all things. And this is what we're here to figure out. It's like, let go, be yourself. But know when you're doing that, because you're different, not only you're not going to be like anybody else in any exact way, but that, as we're waking up to this, all of those individuals that have been the cog on the wheel, that are stuck in this pattern of things, because they're vibrating at a certain rate to feel a certain rate, they're going to do everything they can to not have you be free and be as open, because you're making them uncomfortable, because you're vibrating at a rate that's going to cause them to be uncomfortable. So this is the game. It's like, just when you know that, and you just have compassion for that, because you've gone through that and you know that experience and you're letting go, then we're literally just showing up as pure source consciousness. And as I said before, they'll either shift or they'll move away from you. And this is the difference that's happening now. Instead of, us feeling so different, or, and this is my experience of feeling so different. I withdrew, I held, I went away. But think about what that's doing. So, we are energy and frequency, and we are light. And so, this is the old adage that there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And so think about like your light, engaging in a container, which is the physical body, right? And so if this were like a room, in a home, and we had like a candle lit in the corner of the room, that would mean like 25% of the room is light. That means 75% of the room is dark. And the difference between light and dark is information. So light is information, dark is the absence of information. In this case, that information would be you. So if that were your body, it means 25% of my body is me. That means 75% is something else. What is that something else? It's the collective beliefs, it's my parents, it's whatever. Well, in order to expand the light, if it were the room, all I have to do is take that candlelight across the entire room and all the darkness goes away. It's exactly the same thing within your body. When you drop into the present moment, you take a breath, you let go of that tension. Now I'm expanding myself as source light through my body, and this is how I, can be the witnessing observer of that is not me, and it'll begin to, show up. But it's also how, what we're not taught to do, which is, think about fear. When you fear, you pull away. So this is why you create more of it. So it's like when you have a fear, when you just go, well, I don't care. It's almost like this is where I have that controversial moment where I say it's like suicide, but not suicide like giving up, but it's like that level of like whatever, I don't care because it's me and I'm right here. When you let go like that, that's when you expand your light. When you're not attaching to any frequency that you don't even realize that you're aligning yourself to. You're no longer doing that, and you're not shrinking your light. And this is what it is. This is the inverted matrix. We're just not familiar with being free, with letting go, right? That's what it is. It's like we're unfamiliar with what that is. I say this is really easy and really hard at the same time, only because of the dialogue.
Yeah. And so it's a matter of time and practice. It's allow ourselves to go through, maybe make mistakes, do things like, even though sometimes we don't feel comfortable being in the unknown. It's more about holding the space and giving some time to us as we are shifting, and then we will be there, being able to live freely. And also because it's like shifting to a totally new way of being and creating life. Especially that we've been there for a very long time.
Well, it's coming out of the box, you know what I mean? It's like, well, think about it. It's like the elephant that you tie something around its leg and then you take it off and they stay there. Well, this is us. This is, you know, we don't have anything tied around us, but we've tied everything around us, and we're doing it all the time. It's a masterful game that we're doing this to ourselves. You know, we're playing out major frequencies of enslavement, imprisonment, and sacrifice. You know, we're enslaving ourselves within our own bodies, within our own mind, imprisoning ourselves within our thoughts, and we're sacrificing ourselves. We sacrifice health for money. We sacrifice in relationships. We hold back. We're doing this. And that's why, it's like taking that little incremental step. I guess it'd be like if the elephant suddenly realized, like, wow, I don't have this tied around. What would happen if I actually walked forward? That's what we're doing. And it's like, well, and so you take a step. You're like, nothing. Here I am. And you do. That's why I said it's really simplistic and really challenging. It's masterful because we've been so trained to be so afraid of the unknown that it's like, oh, it's safer to be in our box. You know, I mean, it's conditioning. So we're waking up to this, you know, and allowing for, even within our light, our own light. That's why I'm saying that we shrink our own light in a way of comfort, you know, and this is where I've told my story, that I used to wake up in the morning and I would hear, "You're such a failure." And I was like racing around trying to get things done. And I woke up one morning and I started to notice, like, what is my thought and what is my emotion in relationship to that? And I noticed that when I felt the energy of me dialoguing to myself, there was some comfort in that. And I was like, oh, and I didn't judge it. I just noticed it. I was like, wow, I'm comfortable in dialoguing that I'm a failure. It was like some permission given to myself to feel this. And I just was like, wow, that's interesting. So, you know, once I was really aware of it, then I could go like to myself, do I really want to feel this now? Because I've been saying this, but like, wow, okay, now I can really feel this. And so at that point I was like, no. And so, you know, I started to say, well, you know, what really is success and what really is failure? And what am I doing to myself? And whose voice is this? And what is the story? So that's when I started to wake up like, this is interesting, you know, and this is what we begin to do. Like, wow, what have I been doing? You know, and then it gets really magical from that point. Once you have those aha moments of like, it gets easier and easier and easier from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Cathleena. That was very inspiring. And can we take questions from the audience?
Sure.
All right, so we have MC. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm in the process of ending a codependent relationship, and financially, I'm financially dependent on someone, and I've been guided to go in a certain direction, like professionally. And so I put myself out there and had, a little practice, but it really didn't go well. I mean, I learned some things, but nobody wanted to, well, one person did, follow up. And I just really, bottom line is, I feel like I can't take care of myself. I don't trust that I can actually separate from this dynamic. And I am making new choices where I'm not really trying to please and appease this person as much. And I'm very afraid the financial rug is going to be pulled out from under me because I'm not complying in ways that I've used to. I would just love some support with how to be. I do. I mean, there have been times in the last few weeks where I feel really a compulsion to go ahead and do that old behavior, and I am breathing through it and allowing that to pass. But the whole time, I just feel really afraid.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great that you can articulate it. I think it's great that you stepped in. I think it's great that you're stepping forward. I'd say the biggest piece in this is judgment, because I'm hearing judgment, particularly even like about stepping into something new and saying nobody was there, assuming only one. That's fantastic that one is there. That's fantastic that you stepped out. It's all about, what am I dialoguing to myself? Because this is the bigger piece in this. It's like, if I want to break through from this and I want to really do something different, it's me to me, so it's time we start, dialoguing. Hey, when that voice is going, oh my gosh, look what you're doing, you say, oh my gosh, no, great. Look what I'm doing. Yay. Stepped up, making it happen. This is great. And when we can let go of the outcome of it, but just stepping into the energetics. Because remember, this is what we're talking about. That shift is coming from, basically, to be simplistic, it's going from negative to positive. And so how am I doing that? I'm going to give positive affirmations. I'm going to say, this is so great, and be loving. Yeah, of course we're not there. Of course we're going to have some fear and stuff because it's unknown. That's okay. We're stepping in. And look how wonderful it is. I stepped in. I got one person the first time I stepped in. Wow, that's amazing. Just really, it's about the dialoguing. It's about that energetics. It's about noticing those places where I am opening up, I am shifting. And that's how we're going to help going back into that retreating. Because the retreating happens when we're self-dialoguing oh, I don't know, you're not doing great. But notice, it's like, where am I? What am I doing? Can I give myself permission? How hard am I on myself? What am I seeking? What would be the solution? How would I know, what real safety is or whatever? So it's about the experience, remember, and I think you're doing amazing. I can feel the energetics. I can tell. Of course, I know you, I know where you are. So I know a lot about your energetic, but you're doing amazing, and knowing you too, I know that this is huge for you. So honor it, love her, thank her for stepping up, and just keep that dialogue, because that's going to help you get stronger and stronger. Even if it may surprise you, get to the point you go, you know what, I just don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm not willing to be under this control anymore. So I'm going to let go. And it may just shock you that you just let go. And as soon as you do something else, just boom, comes in, and we've all been in these places, and we're all stepping into these places. And those are some of the hardest places, is that complete letting go of something in order for something else to come in. But there does need to be a point where there's a disengaging of that energy in order for another. We can't, find love when we're in, upset. You have to let go of the upset, and then the love is there. You know what I mean? It's that energetic, and that's what you're opening to. So be gentle, be loving, be positive with yourself and continue your path. I would say don't give up on you in this place.
Thank you very much. I really needed to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're a beautiful light being. Have no fear.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you, MC, and thank you so much, Cathleena,
You're
for this
welcome.
support. We have Abby. Can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, Cathleena.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I've been having some ongoing challenges with a neighbour. Seems to be a narcissist. Boundary issues. Very angry. It's been going on for quite a long time now, and it did trigger a pattern from a narcissist family. I went into a trauma about last week. It kind of triggered that trauma coming up. But although I've done a lot of healing on it, I seem to have these negative. I know there's a lot of negativity being thrown at me, being shared with others and thrown at me regarding that. And it seems to be going round and round in my head. And I don't know how to, stop this loop or whatever you like to call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'd say, I'm going to do some activation that's going to help with this, and I can feel your energetics. But it's really, there's a lot in this energetics, and I'm feeling in your sacral for you. It feels a lot of the little girl and just a lot of that. There's some sadness and rejection that you've been through anyway, and it's just further embodying that. But the more that you would draw with it is the more that it sort of gives it power and that energy. And what wants to happen is what we're talking about, to come into that neutrality for you. And the only way to do that is for you to know who you are, for you to communicate to this little girl that I can feel. She's fairly young, actually, part of you, she feels 4 or 5, in some aspects of self. There's other ages too, 6, 7, things like that, different ones. But this is what I'm really feeling is the one that's just really sitting there in your sacral that just wants to be happy and playful and free. And so my suggestion is maybe go find a swing set and swing on it for a while, or go to a park and walk and really just be playful and just let her, be outside and just breathe and expand your energy. I think it'll take the energy out of all of that, maybe even shift those away. But this is what it feels like. It feels like such a deeper place in you for you to just, really let go and know that, yeah, the world has some cruelty and some people who are lost. But when we can, love that part of ourselves, then we can know, like, this narcissistic energy is, from a place of compassion, where that individual is just really disconnected from their soul and their soul essence. And so we just kind of hold space and compassion for that energy. But the way that we do that is through a compassion for self, really allowing for yourself to love her, because that's what's happening, is that it's that questioning. Is it me? Why is this happening to me? What's going on with me? That kind of stuff. So that's what I feel is we want to hold her. We want to bring her into your heart and let go. You've got this part, and if nothing, whatever resonates, keep. Whatever doesn't, don't. But that's what I'm feeling in your energetic field. How does that feel for you?
Yeah, there's something about being publicly shamed as well as part of that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because it feels
blamed for something that's not.
Yeah. Well, I think that has to do with some exposure in energy that took place young, some things as well. So it feels like you expose that kind of energy. So But when we know our own heart, and it's like, well, I mean, we can't control, what somebody else thinks or what they're verbal, but if we can just know ourselves, and that's all we do is have compassion. That takes the power out of all of that. And this goes back to, remember what you're doing this in the privacy of your own home and your own body to your own self. So this is where, it's your dialogue to you. And who are we dialoguing? You're dialoguing it to those younger parts of yourself. So this is where we want to notice. It's like, do I want to tell this little girl that she's, bad or whatever it is that we're feeling? And that's what we want to wake up to, is like, no, I want to know who I am, to me. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. I do have those dialogues. I'm just surprised it's still kind of looping, really.
It's because that part is not healed, because you haven't brought her to the surface. She comes to the surface and then you don't know what to do with her. So that's why I says I can feel her, and she needs to be loved. She needs to be held. So you need to do things that this 4 or 5-year-old would enjoy. Maybe going on a swing set, sitting.
Yeah, I would be out in the garden enjoying the garden, but I don't feel I can do that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's pushing me further.
Yeah. Well, so
retreating.
Yeah. So that's where you want to look at yourself and ask, why am I doing that? So maybe go out into the garden anyway. Sit on the ground and play. When we don't care, right? When it doesn't matter, because we're doing it for ourselves, for this one, it changes everything. Everything. Okay. That's my suggestion, is go play. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Avi, for your
Thank you.
question, calling. And also thank you so much, Cathleena, for the guidance.
You're welcome.
Let's see, we have Tanya. Can you please unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hello.
So my question is, like, I always think if I had enough money, then I could live from my heart and not worry about anything, right? But living in 3D and having to pay bills and having to kind of pay for literally everything, it is not always easy to stay in the heart. Sometimes, I have to get into my head. Like at the moment, I have this dilemma to find a cheaper apartment because I live in an expensive one, and which I can't afford, to be honest. And it hasn't been easy. So how do I co-create the house or apartment for myself, for example, without getting into my head? Like, I probably do get into my head because I have to think, how do I do it? It is either I get more money, how I get more money, or I get some people to know that will kind of bring me more possibilities. I understand that it's to be in the right kind of vibration and the right state of mind, but I slipping into the mind, into 3D kind of thinking, and sometimes it is kind of not easy to create this kind of my opportunities, my future house and stuff. What would you suggest, Cathleena?
Well, I feel like that when we know what it is that we're really seeking, it's such an interesting thing that humanity says, oh, if I just have enough money and all this kind of stuff. But what I think, if we really go inside, what you're seeking is freedom, and you are free. And so here's the thing about energy and frequency. So, and I've said before, is that whatever, we are vibrating as within this physical body is what we're sending out a message and coming back. So, let's just talk about money for a second. So when we think of money, it's like money is a frequency, and the way, whatever frequency you are giving it in your reality is how it's operating. So, most people give money, that money is freedom or money is safety. but freedom is freedom, safety is safety, and money is money. And so, but when you attach it to that, and therefore you don't feel free, if you attach money as freedom, you don't feel free, you will not have money. And this is where the irony is. So it's like, what is the frequency in which I'm putting it in? So if you are saying that money is freedom, and you recognize your own freedom, and which goes back to the reality of I am free to feel, I'm free to be here, and I can really be in that energetic, then money has to come with it, because it is part of the energetics that's there. And this is where we don't get it. You know, it's like we're squeezing ourselves because we're going into the mind, and we're tromping around trying to get things done and not realizing what the energetics are. And so, you know, when in situations where you are, it's like, okay, so if we start looking at what am I really feeling? If I'm in places, remember what I described about the light in the corner of the room? It's like what you're doing is you're shrinking your light because of the fear of the whatever. And then therefore you're attracting all the things that you don't desire. So the one thing that you're not doing, which seems to be the hardest, is just breathing, letting go, trusting, allowing yourself to be within your body and asking yourself, like, what is it that I'm really desiring? What is it that I truly want? Do I just want money to pay my bills? Then that's what you're going to have, because look at what we're creating. And this is what I'm saying. So where it has to come down to is the hardest part, which I keep saying this is the easiest and hardest, is it's letting go in this now moment and allowing yourself to step forward from absolute pure presence. So we want to really get present. So you're in the situation, you've got all this going on. And I can tell you a story when I was, you know, I have the frequency adjuster, the handheld tool that I have. And when I was in the process of, I was having it created and so on, I had no money, I had nothing, I had nothing going on. But I was in a place where I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills and all that. So I had to, and I was feeling all this. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? They want $25,000. They want this, they want that. I was like, what am I going to do? And so I just was like, okay, I'm just going to let go, because this spinning this through my head, this doing isn't giving me the solution. It isn't. I'm going to let go. I'm going to trust. I'm just going to take some breaths. And I just, dropped into the 0 point, and I just said, okay, I'm going to let go. And what began to happen in my case is I got, an awareness of remembering a class that I had taken that had some emails, and I went and I found these email addresses, and I ended up sending out this email to a person in Australia and asked her if she wanted to be a distributor. And next thing you know, she said yes, and she bought 10 adjusters. And so suddenly I had, this money. And it was just the sequence that took place. And how did it occur? It occurred because I let go, and I allowed for my higher self to be my guidance. And this is where I say it's when the ego can find its placement in a good way. And what that means is that when this you, the you that's here, Tanya, the one in the body, can know that she's not the one ultimately in charge. There is a higher self that is in charge. And when I don't have the answers, I can let go to that part of me. And how do I do that? I just take a breath, and I trust, and I let go, and I allow for the solutions to come into my energetics, it most likely will not be in the way that you are thinking it, because I would have never thought that I'm going to find this email and do this thing. I would have said, bring me the money. Just want the money, to come in. And so this is really, we're learning who we are. We're learning the creative process. The other piece too is that reflect backwards. When we're in places that we're panicking about what's it going to look like forward, begin to reflect backwards and notice all the ways you have been taken care of. Notice all the ways that brought you to where you are, and know that, those haven't gone away. They're part of you. They're in your field. You're just in a place that you're confused right now. So you remind yourself, like, okay, I've created before. Things are always good. It always works out. Remind yourself of these places and ways so that you can bring yourself back into that center in that place. Okay. The other piece that I would suggest is think of money in divine abundance, and begin to recognize all the ways that you are abundant. Maybe I'm abundant in health. Maybe I'm abundant in friends. Maybe I'm abundant in how I can articulate things. However you choose. And then if you add money is in that abundance, then it comes. And it may come also very differently. You know, it doesn't have to come in physical money. It comes with this conversation right here is part of your divine abundance, is part of your being wealth in, you know, coming to you. But if we don't narrow it down and make it only about this, you see, this is what we're trained to do. But this is energy and frequency. Okay, so we're opening up the field. Okay,
I do believe I am abundant in many different ways. I know that I always had strange relationship with money, kind of, you know, shame is involved for some reason. But apart from kind of, no, I was okay with money, but I wasn't like super, you know, free with money. You're right. I wanted freedom. I understand that I'm free, but the financial freedom is something that I would be happy to have.
Well, money is a flow. So the way that money works in a person's life, you only really have two ways. You're either the vacuum and you're the person that absorbs a ton of money and packs it away and never touches it, or it's the flow. Money comes in, money comes out. And when it's the flow, it's about the size of your reservoir. So think about this. It's like there's a certain comfort zone that we all have within our, say, checkbook. And so if you look at your checkbook and you say, I have, $1,000, I feel good. If I go under $1,000, I'm panicking. So that would mean that the $1,000 is your reservoir, like a reservoir in a dam is where you bring the water up to the top and then you release it out. So what'll happen is you'll never go over $1,000 within your money because that's your comfort. So this is where you want to start to kind of look at, like, where am I comfortable? Where am I not? So what I always say to people is when you panic about money, one of the best things to do is to go shopping and to spend and to allow yourself, not overly, in ways, but to free it up, to allow for that flow. Because if I can increase the size of my reservoir, if I can, make my comfort now 2, 3, 4,000, whatever, then the money can flow more into my reality. So it's again, we have to learn, how am I functioning with it? And I can feel with you, which is with most people, we have this push-pull all the time with money. We have this kind of, I want it to flow, I want it in, but don't too much. And just, and then there's this whole story, in relationship to it. It's like, is it good? Is it bad? What is it like? Who am I if I have too much? Or if I, this is the issue with it all. It's such a game. So it's like noticing all those things about oneself. And when we take the power out of it, and we just focus on, like I said, the abundance, the freedom, and then the money flows, because when it's not about the money, because that's the game, and it's about the abundance, and I feel abundant, then money comes with it. It will flow naturally. It's like, this is what I'm feeling in your energy, is that you're struggling with the flow, of how this is working in your life. And part of what's occurring in your, existence right now is a choice point. So your choice point is saying, oh no, instead of me increasing my reservoir by maybe staying in this apartment, I need to downsize. And so what am I doing? And say to yourself, is that really going to make me happy? Is that really where my freedom? What am I doing? Am I having any trust? What am I doing? And this was another piece that I had to learn when I had no money and things, when I was struggling at times when I was learning this. I had been in an apartment that had a roommate, and I had like a, small amount of money that I felt like I could have. And I got guided to go to an apartment that was almost 3 times the amount that I was paying before. And I was like, nope, can't do it. But everything in me knew I was supposed to have that apartment. And I was in that apartment in the story I just told you. And, magically every month that rent got paid, and it was all my journey of knowing what was in my energy, what was in my heart for me, and these are just things that we're learning about ourselves. In terms of abundance, it's like, am I going to sacrifice? Remember I said we're playing out frequencies: sacrifice, imprisonment, enslavement. Am I going to sacrifice myself and downgrade, because I forget that I'm the creator, I'm source consciousness. You know, it's like, what am I doing? Who am I? Okay, so this is all in your energetic field that's awakening.
Thank you, Cathleena. Thank you, Afik.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you, Tanya. And also thank you very much, Cathleena.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we will take a couple more questions. Just before that, I would love if you can tell us about the program that we are offering to our audience. It has 2 packages. The first one is a 5-week activation series, embodying the Hieros, Gamos, and clearing the human influence. And the second one includes package A plus 50 minutes one-on-one private session with you. And I invite everyone to visit the link yourdivineuniqueness.com/Cathleena, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Cathleena, CATHLEENA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live event page and later on the replay page. And also the link will be on the chat boxes and later on YouTube video description. So Cathleena, I would love if you can tell us about this program.
Yeah, this is it's really part 1 in the Embodying the Hieros Gamos. So this goes through the body systems, and this is the first. It's 4 body systems, and then the 5th class is the 4 body systems put together, and it's a activation series. These are on my website, so the minute that you purchase it, you're able to have the activation. You can listen to 1 a week, 1 a day, whatever you're choosing. You know, they're all right there. They're all done in the 0 point, so that means they're in the present moment. So no matter when you listen, they're in the present moment. Each time you listen, they're new. They're all about embodying and balancing the masculine and feminine, the mental and emotional or spiritual energies within these body systems, the cardiovascular, the, I don't remember what all the body systems. Do you happen to have that, Mansaf, up? I think I had it.
Let's see.
Of what the body systems are. I don't have that up in front of me. I think it's the cardiovascular, digestive.
Yeah, cardiovascular, digestive.
Endocrine and the
endocrine, yes.
Yeah, endocrine and integumentary,
Yes.
which is the hair, skin, and nails. Yeah, and then all of them together.
Right.
Yeah, and this is a great time. I mean, this series is really everything we're talking about, because having that balance of the masculine mental, you know, and the spiritual feminine balance within these body systems, particularly the cardiovascular, because that's like your life force energy and so on, can really help with all the dialogue we're having today with being in that place of sovereignty, that place of abundance, that place of being able to be in the pure present moment without all that judgment. So it's perfect timing. I think it's a profound series. And then of course you can do package B has a session. And for those of you who have not had a session with me, when I move into your energy, I'm able to look at your entire field. So I look at it from a physical, emotional, spiritual level, from a multidimensional level. We work on whatever is in balance. And so even in your creative process, all that, if there's any blocks and things like that, we can move them, we can shift them, we open them up. And that also is done in the 0 point. So usually there's a suggestion of a certain number of days to listen. So there's a progression with the energetics, and it just further expands you. And so that's the offer.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Cathleena. Yeah, as always, grateful to you for offering your support to our audience. And yeah, so everyone, yeah, I really trust Cathleena and love her message and the work and the energy that she embodies. And yeah, feel really honored to offer her program to you here on the show. So I invite you to sign up if you feel guided to. And the link again is yourdivineuniqueness.com/Cathleena, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Cathleena, CATHLEENA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the webcast page, which is the live event page, or later on the replay page. And also the link will be on the chat boxes and on YouTube video description. And Yeah, let's see. So we have Kate. Can you please unmute yourself? Kate, 8B. Yes.
Hello, sorry for that.
It's okay.
Hello.
Hi. So thank you for all that money talk, because that really applied to me and kind of how most of my 20s and 30s were, for sure. So that really helped. I was reading in your bio about sacred geometry and Metatron, and I've always been pulled towards that, but I don't use it in my life, or I guess I don't know what to do with it, or to move deeper into that. And I've always, worked with children and creativity, and I know Metatron is known for working with people that work with children. So anything about that would be great.
What do you have anything specific in relationship to that you're seeking for yourself, or?
Yes, for myself. How, I don't know what to do with sacred geometry, and how do I
Do you know what sacred geometry is?
Yes, that's what I said, that I've always studied it. It's always been on the mental aspect, and it hasn't gone any deeper. I don't use it in my life.
Well, I think that you're unaware of what that is. So what sacred geometry, in reference to what I'm talking about, or where this is showing up, is we are sacred geometry, us as energy and frequency, that we are infinite calibrations of geometry. So, the way in which we show up in life, the way in which we communicate, all the different intricacies of who we are is all sacred geometry. How it's either synergistically connecting or not is sacred geometry. So the way to expand it is to recognize how you are connecting and communicating to all things around you, and that's really what I feel is wanting to show up. So when you talk about children, it's like going into a different depth when we step out of our head and we step into the pure experience, and we begin to feel more about what's actually taking place within the environment. And, there was years ago, there was a woman who teaches mediumistic abilities that I had come across. And she mentioned that, the difference between a medium and a psychic is a medium sees people who died, and psychic reads energy. And she said, in order to know if a grandfather comes through, unless you physically see the grandfather, you have to know what he smells like, tastes like, feels like in the physical world. And this is really what I'm feeling for you, is starting to have that observation, because that is the sacred geometry connections that's happening from you to those that are around you, and it's like, and all of that is the work that I do, any of the courses on my website and things like that. And certainly this course that we're doing today, and having a session, I think would be very beneficial, because we can go into this and help expand this in your energetic field, because I can feel that, within you.
Well, that's funny you said that, because I have the clair of the smell. And so I do smell. My grandfather is pipe smoke, and my grandmother is cookies, so I do that, and I'd never connected it as anything to do with sacred geometry. So
Right. Yeah.
I understand that link.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Well, there we go. That's just the beginning of an opening.
Right. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate, for calling in. And also thank you very much, Cathleena, for the guidance.
You're welcome.
I see we have a phone caller, phone number ending with 7716. Can you please unmute yourself?
Hello?
77. Hello. What is your name?
Hello. Oh, good. My name is Suzanne. I'm sorry there's no name that shows
Okay.
up.
It's okay.
Hi, Susan.
Yeah, the thing with me is that I'm feeling a lot of basically a lot of anxiety about going forward. And what's been happening to me is that my thighs are extremely weak, and my back. I would like maybe if you have any input about what's going on with my health and how can I work with it in a more successful way. It's very scary. I feel like I'm losing my ability to walk very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I was feeling in your energetics, is that the fear of moving forward is literally what's happening. So, when I have the fear of moving forward, then my body isn't wanting to move forward. And so the energetics are, freezing up in terms of the physical body. So I can feel those energetics, and it just feels kind of sluggish. And the lower back aspect is about abundance. It's about, financial. They definitely feel that. And then, of course, the knees and so on. And I can feel there's like a weight too, like a weight bearing that's going on within the physical body. I'd say, have a session and we can step into that and begin to expand some of this energetics and clear some of that and look at some of the very deeper things that are taking place that are creating that fear that's going on deep inside of you. Feels like a disconnect from who you really are. And that would be what I would do, is to help you come back into that, connect much deeper into your light within your heart space and bring that energy into your physical body. First and foremost, and just speaking about it now, I'm beginning to bring some of that in. And Monsef, I do want to do a little bit of an activation that I can do for everybody here that's going to help with some of that, I'm bringing in some of this energetic for you. But Suzanne is your name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just feel that are you alone? Do you live alone?
I live alone, and I'll be 86 next month, and I'm afraid to go forward. I don't know what I don't feel there's anything. I don't know. I used to be so fearless, and I'm not.
Yeah, it's just some of the energies around. It's just because there's a very strong sensitivity. I feel like there's some really deeper processes going on. That's a younger you that just needs to be held and supported. A session would be beneficial. That's what I feel for you. That I could do.
Okay.
I could help with that. I'm going to help with some of this, like I said, here when I do some of the activation. But I think personally, if you do that, that would be very beneficial for you.
All righty. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Suzanne. Much love.
Yeah.
And so do you feel it's time for the group activation?
Yeah, I think that's good timing. Sure. I'm going to shift this sound. So I shifted the sound a little bit. You might hear some little background if there's anything here, but I wanted to open it up to make sure you get all the nuances for the activation. So I'm just going to step into the energy. And for those that don't know, I make a lot of sound. I do a lot of different things. So just kind of go with it. And let's just see where this energy wants to take us. So close your eyes, take some deep breaths. Close all portals, gateways, pathways, meridians, stargates, wormholes of any access to my energy, past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum. Release any entities, energies, inorganic frequencies, inorganic technologies, inorganic timelines, past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum. Take a deep breath. I'm going to release any fight or flight, any of the victim-victimizer frequencies, holographic inserts, conscious traps, universal timeline loops, any of the 5G sonic frequencies, COVID or viral frequencies, past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum on a conscious, subconscious, and cellular level. Take a deep breath. I'm going to take out all the fight or flight within the, around the heart complex, and within the physical body, within the fluid system in the body. I'm going to call in the 18th dimensional diamond consciousness of water, and we're going to bring in divine clarity and flow. And I'm going to bring this into the fluid systems in your body, into the brain fluid, spinal fluid, the interstitial fluid, just beginning to come into clarity and flow. We're going to take out inflammation. Take a deep breath. I'm going to call forth the highest and most profound miracles and healing miracles take place this now divine moment according to divine law and order in the will of the Oversoul. And we're going to ask for all that no longer serves you to simply release with grace and ease. I want you to imagine little particles like dirt just floating out of your body. You don't have to know what it is. These are all limits, limitations, judgments, fears, worthiness programs. And we're going to float these out of your brain. So just imagine these little particles just floating out of your brain, your skull, your hair, your head. We're just going to float these right out. Take a deep breath. I'm going to expand your energy 360 degrees. Just breathing and allowing. Just continuing to take out that fight or flight. I'm going to take this out of the solar plexus as well. This is where we identify ourselves. We take all that fight or flight. Deep breath. I'm going to reach through the solar plexus and pull forward a golden light. This is you before you came into form. I'm going to spin this through all timelines, all dimensional fields, all this lifetime. Clearing out all archetypal energy, general confusion, any other victim-victimizer frequencies. We're going to bring that golden light into the central and peripheral nervous system, brainstem, brain, becoming golden. This is going to come down any of that fight or flight energy, and we're going to line this with the golden grid network of Sophia Gaia. So open your crown and your root. Deep breath. We continue to expand you 360 degrees. I'm going to drop you into the crystalline core of Sophia Gaia. I'm just going to calibrate and integrate the elements, earth, fire, air, water, ether, and the diamond blue plasmic flame of the sixth element to all aspects of self, mental, physical, spiritual, and etheric. And we continue to expand you. Deep breath. It's safe to be me, it's safe to be free, it's safe to explore. It's safe to feel. It's safe to let go. To just let go. I'm going to bring another very thick plasmic field around you of Pure Prime Creator. It's like gel, and all that we're releasing, we're going to replace with Pure Prime Creator. Just continue to let go. I'm going to drop in a pink light, Divine Mother, and peace. I'm going to bring in peace. We're just going to bring this all into this present moment, into this heart space. And I'm going to drop in another golden light of the central sun. This is divine abundance. Abundance is your birthright. So we're just going to drop this in. And I'm going to drop this in to your sacral. We're going to drop this into the divine womb center, the creator center of your being. And I'm going to open up your root. Allow this to connect into Sophia Gaia and expand this across the earth so that all that is in alignment with you has to come into reality. So we're just going to expand this divine abundance. Take a deep breath. And for those of you that are very mental, I'm just going to disconnect that energy, and we're going to just bring this abundance through your central channel into the heart space, into the throat. Expand this through your throat and into the third eye and out the crown. Take a deep breath. Okay, I also want to expand your third eye. So I want you to imagine little particles again floating out of your center of your forehead, like dirt, your third eye, out of your face, and the pupils of your eyes, just letting go and expand this space. I'm just going to open it up further. Take a deep breath. Deep breath. That's good. I'm going to open this up bigger. I'm going to open up that third eye. It's safe. It's safe to know who I really am. This is to allow for a greater knowing of who I am, who I've been while I'm here. There we go. Deep breath. Just going to open this up wider. Big breath. It is done. It is so. It is done. It is so. I am free. I am free. I am free. Me con el bocuta a la cata la casa la petición de tipo con la pocha la cala que te pocos se la cata para la quinta hace me que te chicos de arte que te cuesta mo con la cara pues la que chicos me pues me la cata con sa la cata con me pipo se me la para sa cata. Okay, if you feel ready, you can open your eyes. You can tell me how you feel.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Cathleena. And the energy was powerful. It felt, how to say, maybe centering and grounding. Maybe I missed some part of the activations, but in general, like the energies, when you went to the third chakra, I felt some energy moving there, and also in the crown. So yeah, thank you very much. And everyone, we would love to hear feedback. What did you experience? You can type that. And yeah, thank you again, Cathleena. I'm very grateful to you for everything you shared with us, the support you shared with us today with our callers. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you, for showing up, Monsef. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And Nikki Sherrod, amazing. Thank you so much. That was for the activation.
Sure.
And
I would suggest this particular activation too.
Yes.
Of course, you can listen to more than once. This one is just really an expansion, I think, for everyone who, particularly, there's so much in this financial stuff. This is really was directed towards a lot of that in a balancing and opening. So I would suggest you really step into this and allow that.
Yeah, beautiful. And this initial, thank you, Cathleena, so much.
You're welcome.
Tanya, thank you. The energy was moving all over my body, and I was yawning a lot. Suzanne, thank you. I feel peace. Linda, thank you, Cathleena. It felt expansive, much love and light. Terence, so beautiful. Pamela, thank you for all the reminders, Cathleena. Mary, humbled and honored. MC, pressure in top of head. High heart sadness came up, which I breathed into and it turned into heat. Again, I felt it most in my third eye and jaw. Lots of movements. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. So again, Cathleena, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for co-creation with us this experience today. It was really powerful. So thank you for sharing with us your energies and your questions. And again, I invite you to sign up for one of the packages that Cathleena is offering to us. And the link again is yourdivineuniqueness.com/Cathleena, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Cathleena, CATHLEENA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page. And the link also will be on the YouTube video description. And yeah, so that's everyone. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next call. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.